What's up, Misfits? Today I want to talk to you about TV shows, but more specifically, my favorite TV shows of 2022 so far. I don't know if you guys have similar favorites or if there are other shows that you guys are watching and loving that I need to check out. Be sure to let me know. So these are in no particular order, but we're gonna start off with Abbot Elementary. It's a mockumentary style TV show, so similar to Parks and Rec and The Office, but it doesn't feel overdone and it feels completely original because it's so sincere and entertaining. It's about students and teachers in an underfunded public school in Philadelphia, and a ton of the characters are so relatable and lovable, which is what I like so much about the show. You have one character that reminds me a lot of Leslie Knope. That's Janine. She's just caring and optimistic and hopeful and passionate about her job.
How many potatoes would the store have left?
Janine, what did I say about taking my potatoes from the lunchroom?
But visual learning is so much better.
And then you have the complete opposite in the principal, who reminds me so much of Michael Scott because she is completely unqualified and just kind of ridiculous.
Hello.
I'm the sub.
I thought one of my colleagues here hired a stripper for me.
Okay.
Plus, for me, I found a few familiar faces with Chessie from The Parent Trap and Chris from Everybody Hates Chris. It's one of those feel-good comedies that you love to watch every week, and it's just a really easy, entertaining watch. Next up, we have Bel Air. I was actually completely surprised that I loved this show as much as I did because I wasn't the biggest fan of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Of course, I watched a few episodes here and there, and I liked the characters and the show in general, but I wasn't like a die-hard fan. I don't know that I've even seen every single episode of The Fresh Prince. But when I started Bel Air, I was hooked. I watched the first 5 episodes on a single day, back to back, because I needed to find out what was gonna happen. Now, I'm not caught up on the show because I accidentally forgot to resubscribe to Peacock TV, so no spoilers. I'm not gonna talk about any spoilers for any of these shows, by the way. These are just kind of like general overviews. But what I like about this show is it has all the same characters and the locations, but it tells it from an entirely new, darker, more dramatic perspective. Jabari Banks, who plays Will, is fantastic. This is like his first role, which is insane. But there are so many moments where he looks and sounds just like Will. It's absolutely crazy. I also love the story that they've given to Carlton. He is so much more complicated, and so it creates a really powerful dynamic between him and Will, and it's just so much fun to watch it play out.
I hope one day we can talk about why you're really here.
So far, I think it's a fantastic show, and I can't wait to catch up on the episodes I'm behind on. Next, we have The After Party. I am a big fan of Only Murders in the Building and Knives Out, so this fits in perfectly to that whole genre. The cast is absolutely hilarious. You have Tiffany Haddish, Ben Schwartz, Sam Richardson, Dave Franco, and so many more people. Each episode tells the story of the exact same night, but from a different character's perspective, and each episode is done in a different genre. So you'll have one that's a musical and another that's an animation, which is actually kind of cool, and I've never really seen a show do that before. But because of this format, there are some episodes that I absolutely love and some that I don't care for that much. Like, I don't really care for the animated episode. It wasn't really my style of animation. But the thing that hooked me the most was the cliffhangers at the end of every single episode. I immediately knew I was gonna be back the next week because I had to find out what was gonna happen. And I wanted to see a new character and a new perspective, and it was a really solid show. I heard that they're making another season. I guess they're gonna use the same detective, Tiffany Haddish, but then put her onto a different case and have a whole nother group of actors, which I think would be really, really cool. It's a murder mystery, but it's not like gory or anything like that. It's so much funnier than I thought it was gonna be, and I absolutely loved it.
It's a murder.
What?
The last show I want to talk about is New Girl. Now, before you say anything, I know this is not a new show. I know it didn't come out in 2022, but I have rewatched it recently in 2022, and I just love it so much more than I have before. If you haven't seen New Girl, it's about a zany, quirky teacher, Jess, who moves into an apartment with 3 dudes who she's never met before, Coach, Schmidt, and Nick. And then Coach gets replaced relatively quickly with Winston, and then you meet her friend Cece, and it's just a dynamic group of fun people trying to figure out their lives.
What time is it? The time of my life!
My favorite character honestly changes from rewatch to rewatch because they're just so funny and they all have so many memorable lines. But I completely forgot how many like guest stars they had on this show. There are so many. First of all, Prince, Jamie Lee Curtis, Rob Reiner, Linda Cardellini, who else? There was a bunch. Sam Richardson, Josh Gad, and just so many more. Not to mention there are so many good memes from this show.
A white man broke in today.
A white man? No! Well, what does security do about it?
Nothing.
Typical!
So those were my top favorite shows of 2022 so far, but I want to talk about a couple other shows that I watched that I wouldn't classify as my favorites. How I Met Your Father is one of them. I think it's trying too hard. I love Hilary Duff and I really wanted to support her and the show, and Josh Peck was on it and I love Josh Peck, but I just wasn't feeling it. I don't know, like it was okay. It wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be. I think it's because I watched How I Met Your Mother and I absolutely loved it.
It's gonna be legend. Wait for it. And I hope you're not lactose intolerant because the second half of that word is dairy.
And going in, I was just like, there's no way it's gonna be as good. And it's not. And it's not fair to compare them because they are different. But I feel like maybe if you didn't watch How I Met Your Mother and you went into How I Met Your Father, you might like it a little bit more. But I also didn't get attached to any of the characters as much as I did in other shows. I don't know, maybe if I give it another rewatch, try it again with a more open mind. But I just wasn't totally feeling the show. Another show I watched in 2022 but didn't totally love was The Book of Boba Fett. I think it is also because I was coming from The Mandalorian, which I absolutely loved.
This is the way.
And then went into this show and was like, it is a little bit of a letdown. It is an entirely different story, we're following a different character, but there was just something about it that wasn't quite the level that we had in The Mandalorian. I think it's because The Mandalorian had cooler locations, the character development for The Mandalorian was so much better than the character development for Boba Fett. Not to mention we had Grogu and a bunch of other awesome supporting characters. We just didn't have as many in the Book of Boba Fett. That's not to say it's a bad show. I just didn't care for it as much as The Mandalorian. So it was okay. The amazing thing though is that there is so much more content coming out that you can have shows that you absolutely love and shows that you didn't really care for, but there's content for everybody and it's constantly coming out. I mean, we have Obi-Wan coming out soon, Miss Marvel. There's just so much awesome stuff. There's gonna be another season of Only Murders in the Building. The new Umbrella Academy season is coming out soon too, plus Stranger Things. Oh my gosh, I forgot about all this. There's a ton of amazing shows and movies coming out. It's just a really great time for content. Well, those were my favorite TV shows of 2022 so far and some okay ones. What did you guys think of all the shows you've watched so far this year? What were the best ones in your opinion? What were the ones that you didn't really care for? Let me know. Thank you for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Remember to keep it weird and keep it real.